Welcome to a part of my Frenchie. This is me, 143. If you don't have a friend, you have one now. Today's topic is going to be on compassion. So it was hitting me today as I was sitting in the ER with my son, who was at the trampoline park today and decided to play a little Michael Jordan move and slam dunk a basketball into the hoop and slammed his wrist instead into the actual steel hoop and hit his wrist very hard on the middle part of the basketball hoop. And when he came down, there was a sharp snap and pain, and immediately we knew that we had to depart the trampoline establishment. So, unfortunately, we were only there for about 10-15 minutes before we had to leave, which was fine. I knew it was serious because something major had to have happened in order to actually get my son to leave a place like that. But nonetheless, we headed on over to the local ER as we sat there waiting for our turn to get back and get an x-ray and see the doctor. I happened to be sitting next to a young couple and their small child. Now, granted, I'm a mom. I have a 25-year-old and I also have an 11-year-old, quite the age difference. But nonetheless, I'm a mom, one of the best jobs in the world that I have. And with that being said, the couple next to me had a baby who was crying, uncontrollably crying. Now, as a mom, unfortunately, I do not hear crying anymore. Yes, of course, I hear it, but it doesn't faze me. It doesn't bother me. I don't even think twice about it. And I think that's because I've heard it all for 25 years. I've heard it, when my kids were little. I've been that mom where I've been in a public place and your kids are, they have moments. And I don't care how good of a parent you are, children have moments. And it's frustrating, and especially if you're a new parent. I'm not going to lie. I think that parents get a real bad rap when it comes to the whole parenting gig. I'm not gonna. It pisses me off a little bit. People are the first ones to jump and say, "Oh, why is that parent doing that? Why is that parent allowing that?" And why, you can sit there and try to walk in somebody else's, shoes all day long, or you can sit there and be a judge of somebody else, but you have no idea what's going, what that child's going through. That child might not be feeling well. They could be hungry. You don't know what's going on. They may have had a bad day. Kids are different. Every child is different and they all behave differently. And the only way that kids are going to learn how to behave in public is to take them out in public. So, yes, they're going to act up. They're going to cry. And guess what? The world is not a library. So, you may find yourself at a restaurant and a child's going to cry. It's going to happen. So, back to the ER. As I'm sitting there, the baby next to me was crying. And I look over, just happened to glance over, and I saw the mother, and you can tell her face was red. She had started to cry. The dad was trying to comfort the baby. The dad was holding the baby. And they were trying everything to console this baby, to get this baby to calm down. And I noticed on the baby's foot, the baby had the little hospital tag on the foot. So clearly the baby was there because it wasn't feeling well, which understandably. Okay, so if you're in the ER with your child, the baby's not feeling well, the baby's going to be crying. Common sense, right? It's not going to be a quiet, happy baby in the ER. But to a new couple, a new mom, you don't want to disturb people. Other people are sick. I get it. Whatever. So dad gets up with the baby. Mom's quietly crying. And you can see she's frustrated. And dad takes off with the baby outside, walking the baby. And I leaned over and I said to her, I said, how old's your baby? And she looked over and she said, she's 8 months. And I said, well, she's beautiful. And I said, you know what? I said, babies cry. I said, and it's okay. And she just looked up at me and she smiled. I said, nobody cares. I said, you're all right. I said, it happens. I said, you know what? I said, you could be the best mom in the world. You could be the worst mom in the world. I said, your baby doesn't feel good. And it's okay. I said, she's going to cry. It's okay. And the mom smiled and she said, thank you. And she said, this is our first. And she said, I just feel so bad because she doesn't feel good. I said, and that's why you're here. I said, that's why you're here. I said, you're doing the right thing. You're a good mom. And, you got it. Your husband's a good dad. You're taking care of your child. I said, but don't be embarrassed that, your little one's crying. I said, nobody cares. I said, I know it feels like everybody does, but nobody cares. I said, the important thing is to get your baby well. And I think the important lesson there is compassion. And I think as a mother and a young mother, or even, you don't even have to be a young mother. You can be a mother that's maybe, had children later in life. Anytime you have kids, you always have that awkward feeling when they do have breakdowns in public. Either somebody gives you the look, somebody makes a comment. It happens. My biggest thing was always, if I went to church, church is always quiet. And if your kids act out, it made you never want to go to church because your kids acted out. Well, when you think about it, God loves all children. God always said, bring the children forward. So we should be able to take our children to church, right? And yes, they're going to make a noise. That's why we bring things to keep them occupied, and they're not going to understand. But how do they learn how to behave in church unless you bring them to church? And yes, they have the cry rooms, which, those are okay. But honestly, you can't pay attention in there. I've sat in there several times. As a parent, again, you're just kind of running, it's hard. Parenting is hard. It is. It's a challenge. The biggest thing we can do as a society is support each other, support other moms. If you're out and about and you see another mom struggling, don't comment. Help them out. If you can make a comment, then you can stop and help somebody out. Maybe give them a kind word. Maybe say something to make them laugh. I was going out. This was maybe almost a year ago now. I was walking out in the parking lot in Kroger, and a dad was getting out with his 2 young boys. And all of a sudden, the one kid came out of the car and he had no shoes on. And the dad was like, where's your shoes? And blah, blah, blah. And I started laughing. I said, I think my child does that every other day, shows up with no shoes on. And he's like, I know. And, just offering another parent support, like, hey, my weird kid does that too. I mean, that's a beauty of having kids, is that they do these weird, quirky things. And, newsflash, when you were a kid, you did it too. Nobody's perfect. And newsflash, even the people that make comments about these bad kids were once bad kids when they were little too. They pulled the same kind of shit that every, other kid does nowadays. So it's funny that, you could be a critic to somebody else, but, you forget that at one time you were little too. And the only way that you learn in life is by doing things. So my word of advice is show compassion to one another. If you see somebody out there struggling, if you see another parent or a mom that's maybe the kid's having a meltdown or whatever, don't give them the look. Don't give them the look of disdain. Give them the, hey, guess what? My kid threw themselves on the floor in the Walmart last week. It happens. Even if you have the best kid in the world, one day they will throw themselves down like a sack of potatoes just because, who knows why. You just never know. You never know, because that's what kids do. And that's okay. That's the beauty of having kids. You never know what's going to happen. And the joy that comes in raising kids, and the joy and the memories that you have, and the lessons that you learn from raising kids, is a blessing. I think that that's probably why being a mom is one of my favorite jobs in the whole wide world. It's one of the toughest jobs that I have, but I wouldn't change it for anything on this planet. I absolutely love being a mom. I love my kids. I love my dogs. I love being a mom. I love being a caregiver. And I think that that's one of the things I was meant to do in life. So, and that's why I love doing this channel, because I love helping people and I love being there for people. So, until next week, if you don't have a friend, you have one now. Sorry there wasn't videos last week. I had to take a week off. Lots of things going on. But we'll make it up this week with some extra ones. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And again, share this video, send it to your friends, spread the word. Trying to get to 4,000 hours of viewing time, 100,000 subscribers. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Till next week, take care. Bye-bye.